Well, great morning, Arin. Thanks for having me. I'm Brittany Perry, Executive Director of the Dream Big Foundation. We are a local nonprofit here in Savannah, Georgia that support children and families through literacy, as well as social emotional learning initiatives and programs and events. And so just love taking that holistic kind of route of supporting families, just kind of have a lot of background titles. And so I'm the executive director, but I also am a full-time real estate professional. And so I get the privilege to work with families to help them fulfill the dreams of home ownership, and just learn about all of the potential that, real estate and all of that offers them and their families. And then I'm also, you know, all of the fun stuff, a mommy, wife, a sister, a daughter, all of that great stuff. And so
I want to know. So we're here, like we're talking to Brittany for sure, and I want to know like about your life and how you're getting into all of these different avenues. Um, so let's talk Dream Big first. Like, when did it start? What was the impetus for that? How do we get Dream Big? How does that start?
So it's funny because Arin, you say like, multiple, you know, careers and just multifaceted and it's awesome, but it all kind of builds upon each other. Dream
Mm-hmm.
Big started from just myself and my husband's passion of children, honestly. So background, kind of rewind. Travis and I have a background in teaching, both of us degrees in education, early childhood education, for me in particular, child and development, and then Travis ECE, which is early childhood education.
Okay.
And so we started there, and then that's our niche. And then from that, it kind of grew. So started working in the schools, experiencing children and their, Travis worked with special education children in particular. And then I worked in an inclusion classroom, but I worked in a Title I school, which means a lot of my students are, considered lower socioeconomic status. And
Okay.
so just kind of those experiences of what they experience, we just felt a need to do more. Our kids
Mm-hmm.
from
Mm-hmm.
Travis students not feeling like they could actually do things independently by themselves and not having that confidence, inspired him to start writing books, children's books, to kind of encourage them that they can. We have two boys, and so we instill into them affirmations and, the importance of speaking things, positive things into existence, as well as believing in yourselves, and what you believe and what you speak is ultimately what you believe in your internal. And so, just trying to kind of foster in that internal and intrinsic just feeling that they can. He started writing books, and then from the books we started the foundation. Um, from seeing things like my students not having the school supplies that they needed in class, and so it's like, how can we do more, and so we started kind of investigating. We do have a book company, and so we started off as Big Dream Books. Our first year, we started in 2021, and so our first year, we operated, well, Big Dream Book started in 2020,
Okay.
but we operated as a business. Just we did a back to school drive, um, trying to just kind of give back to the community, empower the community. And then, the following year, 2021, we realized that through research and just experience that we can do more for the community as a nonprofit. And so that's where we started the Dream Big Foundation, just wanting to do more for the students that we were already serving. And then after communicating and connecting with the community, you realize that it's a whole community out here that actually feels the same way and experiences the same thing that you experience. And when
Mm.
I say community, that's a community of teachers. That's a community of administration. That's a community of people that just work with kids on a regular. They see the day-to-day things that go on that kids have to experience, that sometimes like these kids shouldn't have to experience this. They're kids.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's when you ask yourself, how can you do more? And so the Dream Big Foundation came about, through that, wanting, and that's where our SEL piece is built in, wanting them to really believe that they can achieve. Have a dream, make a plan, write it down, and start knocking down those, steps. And so that's where our SEL piece came in. And then we also have our literacy piece where we know that through just literacy and reading and opening books, and it's so much that kids are, not only can you learn from a book, but you can be exposed to so much, and a lot of our kids that we work with, from that Title I background or from that background of feeling as if they can achieve independently, a book is a great way to introduce them to all that they can be. Okay. And so, since then we've been pushing through the Dream Big Foundation.
Okay, so you talk about like some of the things that you saw while being in the school system that inspired you to do more. And was there a moment that was like the straw that broke the camel's back? Or is there a moment where it's like that inspiration hit? It's like, yeah, I got to do this now that you can recall?
I don't think that there was one moment in particular, because I can remember several instances and things that the students in my class or just students that I've interacted with in the school has had to deal with. And it's like, if I could, baby girl, if I could buy you this, I would. If I, here's some breakfast. I can't give you breakfast, so come on in. Let me brush your hair down. Let me give you some breakfast so you can have a good day. So there's just the simple stuff that you consistently do. Honestly, Arin, we started as small, simple stuff that we could do. The first hygiene hut stemmed from multiple instances of our students coming, I don't want to say it, but coming into school and not necessarily having what, I guess, those basic necessities, and us kind of seeing the ripple effect. So I was a Girls on the Run coach, and so I was there after school with, of course, different level age girls. And so
wait, what's that? What's Girls on the Run?
Oh, so Girls on the Run is like an after school program. We used to have it back a few years ago when I was teaching, where it was like an empowerment program for young girls, just teaching them about teamwork and working together, sisterhood, and just those important traits to be a effective human citizen as a woman, but just with groups of girls, essentially. And so Girls on the Run, we would stay after school for a certain amount of time. I can't remember exactly how long, but the first part of it, we would do like a team building activity or have like a topic that we would hit on with the girls, whether that was how to have positive relationships or how to be a great team player, or if it was instances of just some of the stuff that they may have been going through, we just have conversation and discussions about that, and then do activities to help build those team skills. And then afterwards, we would actually pretty much train and run as the health piece to build the stamina to prepare for, I believe it was a 5K, or the Girls on the Run, like a big race where all of the schools would come to one place, and all of the girls would be able to have their different Girls on the Run shirts and just participate in the actual run and race itself. So
okay,
pretty cool thing. But I remember one girl in particular there coming up to me and just saying, "Miss Perry, I need some, a sanitary napkin or a pad in particular." And she was one of my girls. And so I'm like, as she's walking up to me, I'm an adult. I have a nose. I can smell you just as,
Right.
And so she's walking to me, and I'm like, well, let's see if the nurse has some. And so we walk into the nurse. We try to get in the nurse, but the nurse is locked because it's after school. Right. And so we go to the office and we try to see if they have like extra stuff there, and we wind up finding something. But then in my mind, it's like, that's one instance. And then another instance is when one of my babies is outside and they don't want to play at recess because they don't want to get musty, because then their mama gonna know that they ran around at recess, and it just stuff like that, Arin. Okay. That became the norm, Okay. And so it's just like, how do we empower those students to just be kids at school and it no strings attached.
Right.
I've seen some of my parents, and I work with some of the parents, and they do have struggles, or they are giving their very best, or they are trying, or may have to wait till Friday till they get paid to get more deodorant, or whatever the case is. I realize that sometimes you just got to take yourself out of that position, and if you're going to empower a kid, just give them help them break that barrier so that they can go back. What's the most important thing? Breaking that barrier so they can get back
Mm-hmm.
focused in class. And so that's where the hygiene hut came from, where it's just an essential location where they can go in at any time. They just can be sent from class to the nurse or whatever the safe space is at the school, and they are able to get whatever they need, whether that's a pad, whether that's wipes to kind of wipe up, whether that's deodorant, whether it's a toothbrush because I didn't sleep at home last night. Like our kids have real scenarios, real situations, and so it's kind of like, how can we empower that past stuff that they may not be able to control?
Mm-hmm.
And as a teacher in the classroom, I learned that when I started thinking like that, I was a lot more successful in helping and teaching and nurturing my students. A first grader doesn't always have the control to take their medicine,
Right.
you know? Um, and so it's kind of like, do you fault the child? Do you fault the parent? And then what if the parent, for whatever reason couldn't get them the refill for what, you know, because then it's like we trying to find who we going or are we gonna help the situation.
Right.
My best thing has been to be solution minded, and so that's how we are able to kind of make an impact and break those barriers. Just be solution minded. How can I help solve a problem? And so that's the hygiene help is able to do that.
Solution minded. So let's talk about the foundation and how you're using business as a solution to some of the challenges you're seeing. What is the challenge that Dream Big is addressing, and how is it addressing those challenges?
Um, I think that the challenges that we're addressing currently are and the back burner challenge I want to say will be the hygiene hut issue.
Yeah.
Those kind of help break those barriers on the fighting end. The larger scale challenge that we're facing with Dream Big and trying to help fill that gap is that literacy challenge that it's clear across the Savannah Chatham County of the gap that we have. And so you think to yourself, how can we help fulfill it? Just like I said before, how can we help empower without jumping into that blame game?
Yeah.
Why aren't they reading when, whose fault is it? And because ultimately I know for a fact that teachers are teaching in the classroom. And I know a
Right.
lot of parents who are doing and supporting at home. And so, it ultimately becomes how can we support? So how can we put literacy on a pedestal to make it something that kids do want to achieve and something that's fun that kids do are interested in, because ultimately that's how they can move from, and it can actually help them in any of their circumstances that they're dealing with. It can get you from one place to the next, because once you get that knowledge from that book or that idea from that book that spirals, now you're dreaming and now you're setting goals and now you're reaching goals and ultimately obtaining that success to help you get out of whatever situation that you might have been born into.
All right. When you're talking about this literacy problem, this gap, can you share something that might be a little sobering for people who may not be plugged in or tapped in to hear about the challenges with literacy? Or even from your teaching days where you're like, nah, this is a problem. And maybe someone who wasn't a teacher doesn't recognize how big the problem is. What illustrates that?
Arin, it makes me want to bring y'all in the classroom with me. I don't know all.
Yeah.
Because I still go in to substitute,
Uh-huh.
and I have my babies who can't read and they're struggling, and it's like, you know, they're not playing.
What grade?
And this was fourth grade. So
Okay.
I taught first grade for 4 years when I first started. And in my first year coming in, um, you have high expectations. It's just things like, how you think it's gonna go. And I'm teaching first grade. My kids are gonna come in here knowing their letters and knowing their letter sounds, and we're gonna be doing so and so and so and so. Jumping in as a new teacher, you're following a pacing guide and you have a curriculum, and you're just, you're pumped and you're excited. And then, my first group of kids, my first set of kids, a lot of them struggled. They didn't know, how to maybe spell their name or the letters in their name or the letter sounds. And it's kind of like, hmm. And then you realize that, okay, they came in and they didn't know this. And so they were a little bit behind. And that's first grade. And so if they're not caught up, then it just falls a little bit further and a little further and a little bit further behind. So we
Okay.
fast forward to now. Right before the last 3 years before I left the school system, I did fourth and fifth grade reading intervention.
Okay.
My fourth graders, um, and so reading intervention, those students have to be, and if I remember correctly, 2 grade levels below in math in order to be in the EIP program,
Okay.
which is the early intervention program to help with reading. And so those students are already a little bit further behind the math. So that already kind of tell you,
Yeah.
what's going on. And so even providing interventions for them, they struggling. And if I'm giving them third grade intervention work or we're going stepping behind, we have kids who are in there who are decoding, who are trying to learn, we're tapping out words and trying to blend them together. Letter sounds, digraphs, which are your TH, SH, WH, the stuff that you would think that we struggling with it. I go substitute even now sometimes in my fourth grade classes. I remember in particular, it actually was like a couple weeks ago. I was substituting in a class with another substitute, and so I was a substitute teacher. They were the substitute para, and um, I was familiar with the students because I had been to the school a few times. And
Hmm.
so we were doing a spelling test, and he was walking, the other substitute para was walking around, and it was a word, I think they were doing like, I want to say it was ing suffixes at the end.
Hmm.
And so it was a word like acting or something like that. And the substitute was walking around, and after I said the word, he was telling the little boy, like, go ahead and spell it. Like, trying to encourage him, go ahead. You know it. You remember, like, what's that sound? And I was looking at him and he was like, man, you playing too much. And I had to look at him at one point after he, kind of did it a little bit longer. And I had to look at him and I said, hey, he's not playing, he's actually really trying. So can you encourage him and do another lap and then come back and encourage him? We don't want to, discourage,
Gotcha.
you know. Um, but he genuinely was like, man, you playing, because these are fourth graders,
Right.
these fourth graders, that should be easy peasy. But
Right.
he was struggling, and I had to let him know, hey, he's actually trying, and so that's the reality of it. We've done different things because we, as teachers, had to do a training, the
Yeah.
science of how much of a percentage of a passage that students have to actually be able to decode and read in order for them to comprehend. And that's
Mhm.
like 97% of the passage. And so if they're not reading every word, majority of the words, they're not understanding the passage. So
Right.
how do we expect for them to ultimately be successful when they're not comprehending what they're reading? That's why they say first, kindergarten through second grade, they're learning to read. Third through, fifth, they're reading to learn. Or third through the rest of their school career, they're reading to
Okay.
learn. And so it's kind of like if they don't have it by that third grade, kind of fluent in it, then they may struggle.
Okay, so these sound like some heavy topics. Like when you're talking about a child's well-being, um, for me at least, like it's a heavy topic. Like you gotta know how to read, you gotta know how to take care of yourself. I want you to have the basics, at least like food, shelter, and all that good stuff. So with you being so up close with a lot of these tough topics, what are you doing for your own like mental well-being, self-care? Like what does that look like?
Arin, honestly, I try to practice what I preach.
Okay.
Reading,
Okay.
reading. I work out. I spend a lot of time with my family and pour positivity into my life, and then serving others is very, you know, empowering and just
Okay.
fulfilling. And so dream big isn't like a job for me. It's like a dream for me more so.
Mhm.
And so I actually am fulfilled through the work that I do through that. Um, and then I have learned a long time ago that I can't take everything personal. In the foundation, we do all that we can do. Everybody's challenge and struggle, I don't have to carry it. I can help as much as I can, but I don't have to carry it, because honestly, I don't have the capacity to carry it. You know what I'm
Mhm.
saying? And so it's
Mhm.
okay for me to, empathize with a situation, and I'll ask myself, how can I be a solution, and how can I help, or how can I connect them with someone else who can help empower them if we can't. But I'm okay if I couldn't solve and I couldn't be the be all to everybody.
Man, right there, like that is such a note because a word, if you will, because it's demonstrating and illustrating the importance of like building community because when you build community, you don't carry it alone. You don't have to carry all of the challenge, all of the struggle, all of the yeah.
One thing that my pastor said that was extremely profound to me, Arin, was pick a part of the battle and fight that piece. You
Mm,
can't always do everything. You can't be the end all be all to everybody, and you won't
right.
be. If you the end all be all to everybody, you really probably stretch thin.
Yeah.
So the quality of what you're giving is probably slim to none. And
Mm-hmm.
so I've learned to try, and I'm not saying we're perfect at it, but because it's always like, yeah, I want to,
I want to do it.
I
Me. I
hope, but it's like,
hope.
okay, who can I connect with so that when I know a family needs this, I can call this person. And if we can't give them, you know, what they need, I can connect them with these people who may be able to either help them and support them, or connect them to the people that they need, that they need their services or they need their support from. And so
Yeah.
that's where I try to make sure that I'm being proactive in, so that I don't have to feel like I have to be the everything to everybody. Um, because I feel like that's what helps you continue in what you're doing and continue to find joy in what you're doing.
Mm-hmm.
I'm trying to avoid burnout, kind of in this season. So it's kind of like try to figure out how you can balance that. You can feel sad or you can empathize with the situation and try to help find a solution and not be the one that solved it. It's okay to be a part of the team, a part of the fight. You don't
Yeah.
have to be the star. And that's why I think sometimes some people kind of get in their own way. You don't got to be the star of the show all the time, friend.
Yeah.
It's okay to be a part of the team.
You're part of the team. Just be happy to be here.
But
Huh?
see, sometimes and when it's like, because I do believe that what the Lord has for you is for you. Like nothing
Mhm.
that's inevitable. Like nobody can take that. Nobody can change that. The
Right.
things that you do, let it be fulfilling and really to Him. Like in fulfilling to be intentional of what the impact and difference you're trying to make in this world. Like
Right.
trying to be the star of the show all the time, that gets tiring.
Yeah.
Like I don't be tired. Like just it's cool. I mean, I'm okay with being a part of the team. Like peaceful.
I wrote this down. I said, based on what you said, connections help balance burnout. Like you need the connections, you need the
You need
community.
a team. I do like you need a community, you need a team. And that's one thing that I've learned. A lot of the most successful people have a magnificent team. They
Yeah.
not doing that, they not doing that stuff by themselves. They are connecting and joining and they're growing together. They're not doing it by themselves.
tell me a little bit about the role connection plays internally with Dream Big and externally?
What do you mean by that?
Ooh, I'll tell you. So let's start externally.
Okay.
How is Dream Big like building connections externally with other organizations or other people in the community, or or it's probably more of an and. Can you describe some of the connections that Dream Big is making for the audience that they serve?
So for externally with just the community,
Mm-hmm.
we've been intentional about, especially the last few years, just connecting with people who are looking to be connected with. There's a lot of people who actually want to support an organization, or they have a vision or a similarity in something that you're doing that they want to be a part of. And so it's just a matter of you actually taking the steps out, saying, okay, even though I'm not perfect and we don't have everything together, just let me just walk in this and allow the Lord to kind of put people in your path that will help fulfill this vision. And so
Yeah.
by just putting ourselves in rooms that has people who are looking to connect and looking to support different organizations, we meet a lot of different people. And then when we find an organization or a business that aligns with what we're doing, or just likes what we're doing, essentially, they're like, hey, can we support, or how can we support, or how can we partner and connect? And then essentially you just from there follow up, hey, and then we're able to continue to work together. That's how we built a lot of our outside business partnerships with some of our biggest sponsors.
Yeah.
We partner with Pittman Enterprises, which is, Chatham Subaru, and that umbrella of dealerships, and different churches like Overcoming My Faith, just different organizations in the community that we're able to connect with, businesses that are developing, smaller businesses. We work with different marketing firms. We have one lady, Crystal's Creation, who does the decoration at our different events. And so just finding those people who have a vision or desire to want to essentially go after their dreams, we're able to empower them too through the foundation. So it's pretty cool for those outside partnerships. Now, intrinsically, we try to intentionally connect with other organizations that support some of the families that I won't say typically like encounter. And so when families may call about, and a family was calling earlier, call about literacy resources, or they may call about, I know one lady in particular called about her son needing some support as far as tutoring in reading, and being concerned about him even having, maybe being dyslexic. And so we were able to say, well, we can support, you as far as we can provide books as well as different resources to help support with literacy in the household for your son. But we can also connect you with our partners, which is, and we actually connected, I want to say that particular time with, they're called the Front Porch, which is another organization. They're a behavior analysis system, analysis organization who, works with different families. They take them in, see what they need, analyze kind of their needs, and then either help them in-house, or they're able to connect them with people that, could support further things, whether that's behavior, whether that's, like I said, tutoring. I know they have connections with women and children organizations. So just trying to be a resource to be a resource, if that makes sense. So we try to intentionally connect with other organizations that support families.
Gotcha. One of the themes that I hear with you talking is put the message out there, or like stand up, say what it is you want to do. And the people will come. The people who support you will come, and the people who need what it is you're offering will come.
You do have to put yourself out there too, and network. Willing to go to the different network. There's actually like a whole networking scene, you just got to actually be intentional about going to the different events and going to different networking hours and things of that sort to help you grow. I can say, Arin, that when the first couple of years when we first started, we didn't do that. And we kind of grew slowly,
Yeah.
a little more slow. But then when started going, we made it like our point, like, okay, hey, we're gonna intentionally target to start going to 3 events, per summer, and then try to go through 3 events per quarter, and then we're gonna do this. We were able to grow a lot faster through the networking and
Yeah.
connect.
I like that. Oh, y'all, I completely forgot to say this on the early recording. So I'm on the board for Dream Big Foundation. Workwitharon.com.
Yes.
Okay. Impact marketing consultant. That's me. So,
No. She's
so,
awesome. She's really, really awesome, guys.
but when I'm talking, but like to your point about connection, it's because y'all were posting and like about what you're doing and everything like that. And I was like, oh, you know what? I like this. Let me
And it's
see.
just like a follow, like,
They need
hey,
some
you
help.
like this? Let's
Yeah.
meet, and I can tell you what we're doing. So you want to
Yeah.
be part of it, and of course, and that's how a lot of it goes. And it's just a follow up, and it's just like, hey, what you can give, tell me what you're trying to do. Tell me what part of this do you enjoy doing, and then it's like
Yeah.
that's your lane. Because ultimately, I think sometimes people don't realize that even the biggest corporations, it start off as a dream.
Mm-hmm.
When we started the foundation or even the book business, it was okay, we want to write some inspiring stories. We want to kind of teach kids how we teach our kids when our boys were younger. And we're still big on affirmations, but when they were younger, we were really, really, really big on them and made sure that they did them every day. And just because we know what it is to actually believe in yourself and to believe that you can. And so we started with them very young with affirmation, and even Travis used to meditate a lot, and it's funny because Taj would mimic him. But just kind of those self-care things and
Yeah.
planting them early. And so we started with them, just starting a lot with them. Um, but then we Travis was like, we would come home and talk about different things that we experienced as far as like in school. So like
Mm-hmm.
him would talk about, with a student, well, baby, because so and so this happened today with, this student, and I'm like, oh man, or like one year, one of my students, moms passed away, and I'm like, my first grader, I'm like, coming home like he already, was struggling because, he was, didn't believe that he did it, and how am I going to do so and so? And so Travis gave me a book that I could take to him and read with him. And so I'm like, even in that moment when I was reading with him, it's like, okay, this really, kind of helped, and he understood. And so it's just like, how can I do more of this, or how can I make a bigger impact? And so you go after those dreams. Yeah, Travis can write books, but then it's like, okay, so you write the book and then you do it.
Mm-hmm.
And then you kind of learn. It's like, okay, so then we got to edit. Okay, so we got to go through the publishing. And then so we actually have a publishing company, because even that season of our life, we went through a publisher. And yeah, that's a whole nother story. But essentially, you start with just a dream, and
Yeah.
then you figure out that it's a lot of stuff that comes with actually bringing this dream to reality.
Right.
And some of those skills you just don't have, and it's like, and some of them you don't desire to have. It's like I I, I don't want to do that. I'm not an accountant. I don't know about the numbers. I don't want to know about, like,
Heavy on the don't desire to have too. 'Cause,
and so
yeah.
then that's when you realize that you actually need a team.
Yep.
And you need people who are reliable, who are knowledgeable, and you realize that, like, sheesh, they're really, really knowledgeable about that subject, like
Mm-hmm.
in their field. Just like when you come to respect people's, just their field and their
Yep.
roles and their just titles, and just not even just titles, just the things that the roles and the things that they do. Because it's like, I can't do that. Mm-mm. You
You
want me
respect people's individuality.
to, and yeah, like their creativity. Like, I can't update no website. What? You want me to click and put the?
Listen.
You want me to? You said do what now?
Oh,
But you can tell me to go in there and teach that class, and I can.
the
You
curriculum
know,
is tight.
you can put me in a room with kids and expect for them to be, yeah, we cool. In
Yeah.
any group of kids and no sweat. People are like, and I'm like, this isn't easy to y'all. Like this.
I do want to circle back to how you're saying you're very intentional with affirmations with your sons. I just love that. We love Black boy joy over here, right?
Well,
Yeah.
I just feel like the world, like as they get older, and just the world is cruel, Arin, and just clear,
Hmm.
just being honest. The outside world is cruel, and so I need them to know whose they are. You
Hmm.
know where their strength I come from. I need them to know, that they are loved and that they are cherished, that they are smart and intelligent. Because the things that they may hear outside of that, they need to already know what's true before they're exposed to anything that's not.
Yeah.
It's easy for people to say something negative or acknowledge something negative, and they will, because that's what the world is, and that's just what the world is. And if I can't stop that, what I can do is pour into them and encourage them to pour into themselves and to pour into others. Like when they leave out in the morning, it's like, hey, have a great day. Make sure you're kind, be a light, be a leader. Spread kindness is free, is what I tell.
Yeah.
It's free. Give a little bit out today,
Yeah.
because sometimes people go through things and you may not always see it on the outside, but you just being kind may just boost, give them that little boost that they needed. Or even that little kid, maybe their mama just cursed them out in the car.
Yeah.
Maybe they didn't have breakfast this morning.
Right.
Maybe their dad and their brother was arguing last night, so they couldn't sleep, and so they're tired. Like, just give them a little grace, a little kindness,
Yeah.
help them, help them have a good day. Let's start again, and remind them, and start again tomorrow. So I try to remind them of that and try to pour into them and tell them to pour into others. So
Well, I think that's a beautiful, wonderful way to end. Spreading kindness is free. Y'all gonna
it
spread a little bit today? Just a
a
sprinkle,
little
please.
bit, just a
Sprinkle it
little
out.
bit. Hey, hello, how are you?
Yeah.
That person over when they're trying to get over in the even though they rode all the way up here, let them get over. It's okay.
Well, Brittany, we're gonna put all your sets on the screen and stuff. Every place that they can reach you. You send me all that information. Thank you so much to Brittany
Thank you so much, Arin. You're
of the
amazing.
Dream Big
Work with
Foundation.
Arin. Go work with Arin. She even has this new thing out, guys. 24-hour. Check it out, like right now, because she's awesome.
Thank you
That's
so
all.
much. All right, that's a wrap. Next time.
Hey,
Oh.
Arin.